Welcome back to another sales leader briefing. My name's Scott Inks. I am the executive director of the National Collegiate Sales Competition, and also the executive director at the Center for Professional Selling at Kennesaw State University. And I am, again, happy to introduce Andy Clement, who's joining us from Gartner and former Kimberly-Clark executive, but also supports now sales executives through his work at Gartner. So, Andy, welcome. Thank you for being back today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. Looking forward to the discussion.
So, as everybody's preparing for the National Collegiate Sales Competition, and then also for some of our industry partners who are interested in learning more about how Gartner can help them navigate through some of the challenges they're dealing with, not the least of which might be AI. The Gartner Priorities Navigator seems to be a great tool. And so I thought maybe what would be a good idea here is to kind of navigate our way around that Gartner's priority tool, starting off with the CSO effectiveness and work our way around. Does that sound okay for you?
Yeah, that sounds great. So, little background. I mean, the Gartner Priorities Navigator for sales leaders is really kind of outlines all the different areas that Gartner has research on, has case studies, and also has experts. I mean, former practitioners that meet with clients as well as do the actual research and best practices, many times very forward-looking. And it's something that we offer to our clients. And from my experience, not only at Gartner, but as a sales executive for many years, these are the things that kind of keep you up at night as a sales leader, right? Things you know you have to improve upon that are on this rectangle here.
Okay.
So,
let's start with the CSO effectiveness. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it kind of starts in that upper left-hand corner with Chief Sales Officer effectiveness. These are really the things that, you have to do to really improve on, to be a more effective leader, right? Many of the folks that are sales leaders, sometimes this is their first sales leader role, either within the company or new to a company. And so there's areas in there to really think through how do you get better at. And then, moving down that rectangle, we get to kind of sales and rev tech technology. So do you have the right technology, whether it's CRM, whether it's sales enablement platforms, or as Scott said a minute ago, today, AI, to really enable your sales team to have tech as a teammate versus just technology in itself. And so Gartner's got a lot of research in those two areas to start with, Scott.
Yeah, and I remember you talked about that. I thought it was really interesting in that other segment about tech as a teammate and AI as a teammate, really insightful. Looking back at the CSOs, I'm sure that today do you think that they're under increasing pressure more so than years prior with the introduction of AI to try to figure it all out?
Definitely. I mean, everybody wants to jump on the AI bandwagon. It's such a hot area now, but figuring it out means how do I not just have AI for AI's sake, but really have AI to really help my team be more productive and sell more. And so I feel like every sales leader that I've talked to the past year are in the process of trying to figure that out. And there's some very great emerging case studies we're seeing where sales leaders are figuring this out and making it just so much easier for their sales team to sell.
Yeah, it's, when you say that, it kind of reminds me of the hype cycle, and maybe I won't be articulated correctly, but it's like, hey, we should be doing this. Why? Then we just adapt it, and then, well, is it really helping us? Right? Trying to figure out how does it really help make a difference.
Yeah, you've got some early adopters now in that cycle that are jumping on board and using it, and some are being more successful than others. But as more case studies come out, as more salespeople become comfortable with AI, you're gonna see that change quite a bit, I think.
That's great. And then, what are some of the other areas that CSOs are expected to perform on, or the metrics that they're really being judged against? Is it strictly just quota, or are there other areas that they are being evaluated in?
I would say, I mean, hitting your top line and bottom line number, i.e. quota, as you said, is kind of number one. But you see a lot of pipeline metrics that CSOs are measured on. Are you closing enough business? Is your pipeline big enough to hit your number in the future? Is your cycle time fast enough where you can, close the right number of deals? Are your account sizes that you're closing or in your pipeline big enough too? So see a lot of focus on kind of those pipeline metrics as well.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
moving along, you already introduced the sales and revenue technology. The sales stack is probably in there. That's another issue I would think that organizations are dealing with. I mean, you think about
Yes.
all the different tools that people have at their disposal and just keep adding layer after layer of tool.
Yeah. And that's why, as I referenced, really making sure that as you look at that tech stack, that your technology is, a teammate that's helping your sales team and not just something that is another thing that you have to enter as a salesperson that pulls you away from actually spending more time in front of customers, right? So um, that's a key lens we offer when we look at a tech stack, is to make sure that as you add to that, they complement the pieces you have, or you're getting rid of something that's maybe outdated technology for something newer. And we see a lot of great examples of that with companies these days.
Very good. And now moving on to the sales operations and enablement. You talk
Yes.
about how Gartner is helping out in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, certainly as you think about your sales operations team, making sure that you've got the right sales analytics to really measure the team. And then, as you said, sales enablement. Are you building the right sales capability within your team? Are you enabling your sellers to be that much more effective to close deals when they finally get in front of their customers? So that's a very big area at Gartner. It's a very big area, I'm sure, for many of the professors and the students that are listening to this as well.
It seems like there are a million KPIs out there, different ways of looking at things. I always found sales velocity to be one that kind of cuts through a lot of things. But do you help organizations, Gartner help organizations try to figure out, hey, which metrics are really important, which ones maybe aren't as important, but that maybe look good, but maybe not really important to what we're trying to accomplish?
Definitely. I mean, we've got a lot of research and best practices on what are the right KPIs. A lot will actually depend on your tech stack. So
Yeah.
if you're very advanced in your CRM usage, you can pull a lot of your KPIs from that. If you're newer in your CRM journey, maybe less so, because what you don't want to have are kind of KPIs that are incorrect. But certainly that's very important for a sales leader to understand truly how they're doing, to make sure they've got the data to back it up.
Are there a lot of vanity metrics what we used to think about in social media, like the web hit count and all that kind of stuff? Are those still out there, or are those pretty much gone away? The kind of this, they're neat to look at, but they don't really provide any insight.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the metrics, especially maybe some of the marketing metrics that I've seen out there. So for example, hey, we've generated all these leads. Okay, that's great. But I mean, if we're not actually closing those deals,
Yeah.
then that's kind of a vanity metric, right? Because a lead doesn't necessarily pay the bills, a close
Right.
does, right? So
Yep.
certainly we see that out there. And that's a key area for kind of sales and marketing to work together on, I would say.
And you bring it up too. I'm thinking about other areas that might be tied in even to incentives. So when you incent salespeople to based on the number of leads, they might tend to generate more leads that aren't as good, right? So does Gartner help coach organizations on those things? These are a way to drive a good incentive plans to drive behavior. We want to make sure those behaviors lead to actually productive outcomes.
Absolutely. And it's actually a great lead into kind of that bottom right area of that navigator, which is all around sales talent management. And
Mm-hmm.
as you said, that starts with salary planning and sales incentives. Speaking from experience here for many years as a head of sales, I mean, one of the biggest things we worried about was making sure we had the right incentive plan to drive the right behavior for those correct business outcomes every year. And so certainly Gartner has a ton of research and ton of expertise on that. And that is, was a very big investment area for all sales leaders, and you want to make sure you get the most bang for your buck there, because it drives a lot of behavior. But other areas we work with organizations on in that area, in those areas, is training and development, of
Mm-hmm.
course, hiring and onboarding. I mean, job descriptions, areas like that, all really important as you think about your talent for the future.
Okay, very good. And
Mhm.
then we'll just assume that people are going to want to hire from the National Collegiate Sales Competition. Our
Where else?
graduates,
Of course.
I'm going to plug
I
that
know
every
this will
chance
be
I get. Every chance I get for those industry people out there. I'm telling you, that's where the best sales talent is coming from. All right. What
absolutely.
about sales process and execution?
Yeah, I mean, here it's really quite a bit about making sure you're managing your pipeline correctly, as we've talked about earlier. Making sure that you're looking at your current accounts and not only retaining them, but ideally growing them. as well as just making sure you're getting kind of the right insights on your buyers that you can feed your sales team and be that more effective in selling your product. So we do a lot of research in those areas. And then finally, and probably most importantly, at the top there of that Navigator is making sure you've got the right go-to-market design.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk to sales leaders that are coming over to work with Gartner, this is usually the first thing they want to work with us on is,
Okay.
do you have the right structure, the right design? Are you working with the right channel partners? Do you have the right key account strategy? I mean, this is a really super important area that Gartner has a lot of expertise on.
Could you give us a couple of examples, some of the challenges that organizations deal with in that area?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes organizations have not looked at their go-to-market design for many
Mm-hmm.
years, and um, buyers have changed a lot the past 5 years, as we know, since the pandemic.
Right.
A lot of organizations maybe aren't investing enough in the digital buying journey these days, and have more of a heritage sales organization. So that's a common area, I would say, that we see, as well as a bigger focus on inside sales to manage a lot of customers versus just outside sales, which is the case with a lot of heritage organizations.
And does that go-to-market strategy? I'm thinking about the sales enablement to revenue enablement strategy, thinking about higher level. Does that sometimes bleed out into higher level of the organization, saying, okay, here's the sales focus, but also here's other areas that we might go to market with, e-commerce or web, or whatever those other alternatives might be?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the things that are on this rectangular navigator not only have to be leveraged by sales, but marketing has to be kind of in
Hmm.
lockstep. And then even other functions like HR or finance, where a lot of the metrics are coming from. It's very common as a sales leader that you're connecting with other folks from the C-suite to kind of make sure all of this comes to life.
All right, Andy, I was just thinking, if I look at this priorities navigator and maybe I'm a CSO new to the role, or not even new to the role, maybe I'm a veteran, but I look at this and I say, geez, there's so much here. Where do I start?
Yeah, it's a great question, Scott. And most of our clients, I mean, you have to prioritize. You can't tackle all of these things at once. And so we actually at Gartner have a diagnostic. We call it the SCORE diagnostic. It allows you to measure your maturity as an organization on all of these boxes that are
Wow.
on this
Okay.
navigator. Okay? And it also allows you to kind of measure the importance of each of these to your industry, because not all industries care equally about all these things, right? And when you
Right.
get that information back from the assessment that we provide you, that then begins to highlight, these are the areas that I need to work with Gartner on because they're the biggest gaps. And if I solve these things in theory, they should help me hit my number most effectively. And it can be common actually for organizations to run the same assessment every year, because you work on a few of these things, you get them done, then you go back and do another assessment to determine what's next.
Okay.
So, really good question, and something we deal with every day.
And so then I suppose organizations might look at this as kind of like a triage thing. This is what we hit first right away. That's year one, and then maybe year two, year three. It's kind of a roadmap for how we're going to improve down the line.
Exactly. Where are the biggest gaps? And sales, like any function, is about continuous improvement. So
Mm-hmm.
just because you did one thing, and you may come back to it 2 or 3 years later because your sales organization or buyers have changed, right? So, but absolutely, it gives you a great roadmap, as you said.
Especially in this environment where change is just nonstop. It's just unbelievable. So.
So true. So true.
Well, hey, Andy, thank you very much for joining us today. And again, I look forward to bringing you back to talk about some of these other areas, perhaps a little more detail. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Have a great day now.
Yep.